What is going on, guys? My name is The Rose, and this is the Game Corner Podcast, episode 26, part number 2. It is Tuesday, February 5th, and I have just a little bit more to go, so I want to do this part of the podcast. This episode will only be a little bit, it'll be a little shorter than the last one. It'll probably be about half as long even. 30 minutes tops. I want to go over a few things. I have 5 more articles here. Nothing major news. I covered all of the bigger news in part 1. I also have here my little notepad. And this time I don't have to worry about doxing somebody's phone number because not only did I scribble it out, but I took care of that. Part of the reason why there were so many jump cuts in towards the end of part 1 was because I had my notepad like this, in my hand, and not realizing it when I was editing, I noticed that had I not made those cuts, I would have doxed somebody's phone number, so that wouldn't have been good. But with that being said, folks, follow me on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Follow my friend and partner Erin Fitzgerald, voice actress, on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube as well. Follow Black Sakura on Facebook. All the links in the description box down below as always. And with that being said, now that I got that out of the way, I have here, I'm going to start with this. I jotted down 10 games that I'm most looking forward to this year. Now, I didn't put these games in any order, so I'm just going to run through this list. I'm going to try to put these games in a top 10 most anticipated list. Because this way you know which games I'm looking forward to the least and the most. Now, I know there will be other games on this list that other people will be looking forward to, and I'm going to save those for honorable mentions, but let me first run through this list. So we got Bayonetta 3 at number 10, and Forza Motorsport 8 at number 9. And I put those two at the top of the list because Bayonetta 3 isn't confirmed yet, I don't think, to be releasing this year. It's very possible it releases this year. I hope it releases this year, because I want to play it. I still have to play Bayonetta 2, because I never got my hands on that yet, and I'm glad that was ported over to the Switch. Bayonetta 3, if it does come out, it's going to come out in the later half of 2019. I will say probably between August and the end of the year, I'm going to say. Forza Motorsport 8. A unannounced game as of right now. It hasn't even been announced, let alone have a release date. But given Xbox's track record with the Forza series, how they release a main title, mainline title, and a spin-off title every 2 years apart. The last main installment in the Forza Motorsport series was Forza 7, and that came out in 2017. Forza 6 came out in 2015, and Forza 5 came out in 2013, so it just makes sense that Forza 8 will come out this year because it's been every 2 years. And in between the main installments, we had the spin-off series Forza Horizon, which Forza Horizon 4 came out last year. That was on my top 10 favorite games of the year for last year. Forza Horizon 3 came out in 2016. Forza Horizon 2 came out in 2014. So it only makes sense that Forza Motorsport 8 comes out this year. And given the track record around release, it's going to come out in either September or October. It usually comes out either the first half of October or the second half of September. Right around that ballpark area, so look forward to that. What else we got on this list? I don't even remember. I wrote this list a couple days ago. So let's see. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Sonic, number 8. I'll put Sonic, Team Sonic Racing. And, yeah, this game really, I'm looking forward to it, but, like, I'm not super high on this game because, I enjoyed the Sonic and All-Stars Racing 2 games that came out. The second one was better than the first one because it had more characters and it had the transforming vehicles. Team Sonic Racing also, from what I've seen in gameplay reveal trailers and whatnot, they do have the transforming vehicles. The game is said to have at least 21 racetracks, which isn't bad for a game like that. But from what I'm hearing, it has less than 20 characters. When the Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed game had like 33. So I'm not sure why they cut down so many characters. The game will have Team Sonic, Team Dark, which is, the teams from Sonic Heroes. You have Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Shadow, Rouge, and Omega. Then you have Team Rose, who is Amy, Big, the cat, and instead of having Cream with a Chow, you have a Chow, which doesn't make sense. They should have just kept the team alone the same. Then you have, instead of Team Chaotix, you have Team Vector, which has Blaze the cat, Silver the hedgehog, and Vector the crocodile. So they kept Vector, but they took out Charmy and SBO. And then you have the villain characters. You have Metal Sonic, I believe, is in the game. Eggman, of course. And I think one of the Deadly Six, I think, from Sonic Lost World, I believe, is in the game. But from what I've seen, this game looks like it's not using a new engine. It doesn't look too polished up compared to how the Sonic and All-Stars Racing game looked. And that game came out in 2012, so if you're reusing a game engine from 7 years ago, that's kind of lazy, Sega. And on top of that, you're being skimpy on characters, and I bet you they're doing that so that they can have an excuse to release DLC, which kind of sucks if that's the case, and it probably is the case. So that's not, that's why the Sonic Team Sonic Racing is number 8. That's so high on my list. What else we got here? We have we have number 7. I'm going to put Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 on my list. This one is kind of baffling why it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive, because the last 2 released on the PS3 and Xbox 360 during the last generation. It's pretty cool that we're finally getting another sequel after all these years. It's been about at least 10 years since the last installment in that series. I love that kind of game, like action RPG type game. I've loved that kind of system ever since the X-Men games came out on the PS2 and GameCube all those years ago. So I'm looking forward to this, and I really want to play it. Seems like it's going to be a pretty good game, and it's going to be a pretty fun game to take out, and play anywhere you go. Like, say you're waiting somewhere, you have an appointment, and you go to somewhere and you're sitting in a waiting room, or you're going, on a car ride or on a plane or whatever. You have a decent game to play when you're sitting around doing nothing. And then at home, you play it at home. Looking forward to it. It's going to have, it looks to have quite the Marvel roster. Wolverine. I believe Spider-Man's in it. Of course, the Avengers. And some of the villains. I believe Thanos, I believe, is going to be the main villain of the game. So it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a big Marvel fan, and I love the Marvel games. So it's going to be a game I'm interested in. It's supposed to come out sometime this year. I'm going to say in the summer, I'm guessing. Number 6, Gears of War 5. Gears of War series. I love it. I have every game in the series. There are currently 5 games in the series. Judgment was the prequel to the whole series. And then you have Gears of War 1 through 4. So this is Gears of War 5, the sequel, and continuing the story from Gears of War 4. These first-person shooter games, or are they third-person? I don't remember. I haven't played Gears of War in a while. But these games are really fun. And actually, I believe they're third-person. Yeah, they're third-person, now that I remember. But these games are really fun. I love them. Playing them online for a little while is alright, especially the Horde mode. Horde mode is really fun. I just hope that they get rid of the loot box bullshit system that a lot of games seem to have adapted over the past few years. Because I don't like loot box system. And, you know, customizing your characters and your performance online is based on the kind of shit you unlock through loot boxes. You know, it gives other players an advantage over other players, depending on their draw, the luck of the draw of a fucking loot box. I hated that shit in Gears of War 4. And it's one of the reasons why I don't play many online games anymore, because that kind of bullshit system is unfair and it's kind of broken. But Gears of War 5, number 6, supposed to come out this summer, so I'm really looking forward to it. Number 5, Devil May Cry 5. It comes out next month. The Devil May Cry series is another series I own every game for. I've played every game, including the attempted reboot of the series, which wasn't a bad game, just was nowhere near as popular as the original series. That's why the reboot never got a sequel, and it should honestly stay that way. Instead, they are continuing, finally, the original storyline left off from Devil May Cry 4, which was released on the PS3 and 360 in like 2007, 2008. It's been a long time coming. We're finally getting a really good-looking sequel. Dante and Nero, of course, are going to be in it. I'm sure Trish is going to be in it. Virgil, I'm sure, will be in it. I can't wait to play it. It's a game I definitely want to play. I love hack and slash, beat 'em up kind of games. And I liked the DMC series enough to play both remasters. I played the PS3 360 remaster, and I also own the PS4 remaster of a remaster. So let's see here. I got a few more games on this list. What else we got here? Number 4, DOA6. Excuse me. Dead or Alive 6. Number 4 on this list comes out in 3 weeks from this Friday. So 3.5 weeks. Releases on March 1st. Hopefully, Team Ninja, they don't go the way of Street Fighter 4 and do what they did again with Dead or Alive 5, releasing like fucking 3 or 4 different versions of the game. Because releasing another version of your game just to shoehorn in more characters while not adding to the story mode or enhancing the graphics of the gameplay at all, it's really kind of shitty. You know, just make expansions like every other fighting game has been doing lately, like Tekken 7 and Street Fighter 5. They've adapted, thank God, because Capcom usually doesn't. Dragon Ball Fighters, Soul Calibur 6, did I mention that already? Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 11 is going to do the expansion thing. So, I really hope Team Ninja learned from what they did with DOA5 and do it better in 6. The game is looking really good, and I can't wait to play it. Speaking of Dead or Alive 6, I actually have a little bit of news coming up on about that game. Number 3 on my list is new Pokemon. Don't know what it's called yet. We know it's coming out this year. It's second half of this year. Again, given Pokemon's track record as of recent years, the games have been releasing in the middle of November. So I'm going to pinpoint this game as well in the middle of November. Usually the second or third Friday of the month. And we don't know if it's a Gen 4 remake or if it's Generation 8 yet. We're probably not going to hear shit about this game until E3. Because we do know it's a core title. It's a main title. So it's not going to be like a Mystery Dungeon game or a Pokepark style game or a Battle Revolution, Pokemon Stadium style game. We know it's not going to be anything like that. So it's either going to be Gen 4 remake or Generation 8. It could be either one, to be honest. I'm hoping it's Gen 8 over Gen 4 remake, because Gen 4 was honestly my least favorite out of all the ones I've played. So I'm kind of hoping Gen 8 comes out. And since we did get 2 new Pokemon in Meltan and Melmetal with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I'm kind of thinking we're going to get Gen 8 this year. Number 2, Yoshi's Crafted World, another game that comes out next month. Yoshi is my favorite video game character of all time. I fucking love him. The game comes out March 29th. It is another game in the Yoshi series akin to the Yoshi's Island style gameplay. The game looks great, and you could actually play as Crafted Yoshi in Smash Bros. He is a character costume for Yoshi in the game, so he looks pretty neat. I like the art style and stuff. I honestly didn't think I'd like the Woolly World art style as much as I did. This one is kind of in the style of that, only it looks more like construction paper more than, yarn and whatnot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. Definitely gonna own it on my Switch. I love Yoshi. I love Mario games and everything in general. And that just leads up to my number 1 most anticipated game that we know of this year, because there's other games that we don't know of yet that may release. But even then, nothing's going to top my number 1. And if you don't know it by now, it's Mortal Kombat 11. Come on now. So much has been revealed as of late about this game ever since the Video Game Awards, when the reveal trailer was shown. We've had characters revealed like Kano, Cabal just recently got revealed. I believe last Friday or Thursday. No, Kano was revealed last Thursday. Cabal, I believe was yesterday. Was revealed yesterday. Then we also have characters. We already knew Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Raiden. New character Chronica. She's the main villain of the game. We have new character Garrus. Scarlet's coming back. Shao Kahn is the pre-order DLC character, which I'm sure he'll just become a standalone DLC character. Liu Kang has been leaked by Best Buy, and he was also shown. He was also shown as well as other characters like Johnny Cage and Cassie Cage was also shown in the game. Other characters, Sonya Blade being played by Ronda Rousey this time around, so that's pretty cool. She actually, from what I've heard, and the bit they've shown, I think Ronda fits the character really well. So, Mortal Kombat You know, it's probably my favorite game series of all time. You know, individual games, I would say it's not my favorite series. You know, if I break the series down into individual games, I would say they're not my favorite games of all time, but as a series, in a series as a whole, from start to current, I would say Mortal Kombat is easily my favorite series, franchise of all time. Mortal Kombat 11 is looking great. The gameplay is looking brutal as ever. The fatalities are disgusting, to put it lightly. And I fucking love it, you know? So those are my most anticipated games of the year. Now, of course, other people were looking forward to games like Kingdom Hearts 3, which is already released at the time of this recording. Then you have, you know, people are also looking forward to Anthem, Last of Us 2, and, you know, there's other games that I can't think of off the top of my head right now. One honorable mention of a game I'm also looking forward to right now is the Super Neptunia RPG, Brave Neptune, as it's called in Japan. The game released in Japan, I believe, last October, November. And the US, we're still waiting for it. It's supposed to come out in April or May. I think it's April. Which means I won't be playing it right away because Mortal Kombat is taking up all of my money. Thank you, Collector's Edition. $300 fucking dollars. But as an honorable mention, I am looking forward to the Super Neptunia game. It's a different style of gameplay on the RPG series. I think it's a bit of a reboot of the series, I believe, because it's only gonna follow the main four goddesses, and I don't know if the sisters are gonna be in it in any way at all, or what's gonna, you know, how the game is. Obviously, if you've already played the game in Japanese, you already know. Don't spoil it for me because I want to play it. I have almost every game in the series. I'm only missing 2. One of them I'm not buying because I feel I don't need to. Plus, I don't have VR anyway. And the other one is Super Dimension Neptunia on the Vita. So, other than that, I have, you know, played damn near every game in the series. And I've enjoyed it up to this point. You know, for the most part. Even though the games are made pretty cheap. But hey, it's a niche market. What do you expect? With that being said, folks, let's get into a little bit of news here. I have 5 articles I want to talk about. So, I got a little bit more Nintendo news. I got something about Sony and the PS5. And the DOA6 thing I mentioned earlier. So let's talk real quick about this rumor of a smaller Nintendo Switch console coming out. So this news is mostly coming from Siliconera. I have one article from VG247. In Nintendo's financial report released earlier this week, we learned that the company released its initial sales forecast of the Nintendo Switch, selling 20 million units, which it's up now to 32.27, I believe. In the fiscal year ending March 2019, the initial forecast was reduced by 15% to 17 million units. After 3 quarters, Switch sales are at 14.48 million units as of December 31st of last year. So the new goal shouldn't be difficult to meet. Since the launch of the Nintendo Switch console, we've seen numerous releases from popular series. Fire Emblem Three Houses is one of those games. Honorable mentions for anticipation this year. Such as Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, blah blah blah. According to Nikkei's report, Nintendo is already working on the next step for the Nintendo Switch, and a part of a plan is a smaller Switch version, which is going to focus more on portability. I am paraphrasing at this point. A source also mentioned that Nintendo's goal is to expand on their customer base by introducing smaller Switch models that emphasizes portability and at a lower price, with some functions omitted. Obviously, it probably won't work on a dock. It possibly could. It probably won't. If this one is focused completely on portability, it probably won't work on a dock. It's going to be smaller. I'd say maybe at least 2 inches smaller than the current one. Hopefully they don't shrink it too much, because the Joy-Cons are really small as it is. If you make the Joy-Cons smaller, they're really going to be difficult to play with. Lastly, the report notes that the Nintendo plans to release a new online service sometime in 2019, and it will be more expensive than the one that is currently available. Well, if you're going to release an online service, a new service in this year, and if you're going to charge more money than what you're charging now, people are already pissed off with your current service. You better do much better with this new one. Fuck that. Give us better games. That's all we want. Give us better games. Give us better online fucking servers. And stay on top of your games that need updating. You're doing it with Smash. You should be doing it with the other games too. But if you're going to make a smaller Switch, fine. But hopefully, if you make the Joy-Cons too small, no one's going to want to play with it. To be honest, I really don't think you need to make a smaller Switch at all. Because there are some people that haven't bought a Switch yet that want one. I apologize for the background noise. I got a garbage truck coming picking up the trash outside. I don't think you need to release it this year. And it's only a rumor, so it might not even happen in the first place. But I would think if you're going to sell it cheaper, I would sell it for no more than $200. If you sell it for any more than that, I don't think it's going to sell. Nintendo is opening its first official store in Japan, Nintendo Tokyo, this fall. Now, before I get into this article, I find that hard to believe, that it's their first Nintendo store in Japan. We've had one in New York City now I believe it's called Nintendo World. It's been there for a while. It used to be the Pokemon Center of New York City. So you mean to tell me that America has had a Nintendo store for so long, and Nintendo being based in Japan, in a Japanese company, they've never had a store, ever? Really? I find that hard to believe. They have an amusement park, for fuck's sakes, that we don't have. Yet. We may never get one. But we have a store and they don't. Okay, sure. The company's goal is to make Nintendo Tokyo a new point of contact between fans and Nintendo that can be enjoyed by a wide range of people, regardless of age, gender, or experience with games. In addition to products such as video game software, hardware, and character merchandise, Nintendo plans to host events and opportunities to play games. Nintendo Tokyo Shop is scheduled to open in Shibuya Parko. I apologize if I pronounced the name of the place wrong. This fall, and more details will be announced at a later date. So there you go. Pretty much what Nintendo World does here in New York, they're going to be doing out there. I think it's a fantastic idea. And again, I would have thought this would have been something they've had for a long time now, but apparently not. At least according to this article. I think it's pretty cool. Japan, you guys should enjoy it. I've never been to Nintendo World in New York myself, and I'd really like to go there one day. Nintendo is hiring 3D designers for the Legend of Zelda series. The 3D designer will be tasked with work on all sorts of terrain design for fields and dungeons. They are required to have experience in Maya and Photoshop in creating scenery, software development experience on HD consoles, and have the ability to communicate and work together in Japanese. And of course, Nintendo welcomes those who feel a passion or desire to work on the terrain design for the Zelda series. This isn't the first time Nintendo looked into hiring CG designers, in particular, as the company has previously put up a recruitment for the role about a year before Nintendo Switch released. So that's pretty cool. It sounds like a new Zelda game is in the works if they are hiring terrain designers to work on the game. Sounds like we're going to be hearing something about a new Zelda game, maybe as early as E3 this year. Who knows? Probably not until next year. I would save anything about a new Zelda game until next year. I wouldn't even talk about it this year. Metroid Prime 4. That's another game people are highly anticipating. Metroid Prime 4. Nintendo Switch, obviously exclusive game. But yeah, anything Zelda, I wouldn't talk about it until next year if I was Nintendo. And again, if they're hiring designers, it sounds like there's another game in the works. Alright, this article comes from VG247, who, to be honest, they don't have the best track record when it comes to reporting news. But they are more credible than, I would say, fucking Kotaku. But that's another matter altogether. Sony. Oh, Jesus. Sony shifting first-party development focus onto the PS5. Makes sense to me. And no, it's no secret the PS5 is on its way, currently in the works. CEO Kenichiro Yoshida confirmed as much last year, calling next-gen hardware necessary. There's no shortage of rumors about development teams across the industry getting briefed on the preliminary specs, not to mention teams already having dev kits. According to Daniel Ahmad, Nico Partners analyst, or Nico Partners analyst, generally has solid insider information. Sony's internal first-party studios are already working on games for the PS5. Makes sense to me because they haven't been showing many games coming out for the PS4 this year. Exclusive titles from the first party. And they're not going to E3 this year. They skipped out on PSX last December because they really don't have anything to show right now. And it makes sense now that if they're focusing on the PS5, if they don't really have anything to show right now and they don't want to announce anything right now, there's no point in being there. So if this is the case, I think Sony's going to hold strong to their word, and they're not going to show up at E3 this year, which I think would be the first time since they've gotten into the video game market that they won't be there. In general, most of the focus on Sony's first party is on the PS5 right now. It is still too early to talk about next gen, but I imagine we'll hear some whispers coming out of GDC next month. So, there you go. Interestingly, Ahmad also revealed that Sony has unannounced games in the works based on existing IPs, though they may have initially been intended for PS4. Ahmad notes there's desire to make them cross-gen or fully next-gen. He didn't give any hints as to what these may be. However, considering Sony will miss E3 this year, as I just mentioned, for the first time, we're probably not going to get any major announcements this year. If reports are accurate and the PS5 is indeed planned for late 2020 release, which is a perfect release time frame, I would not release it any sooner than that. It'll make more sense to talk about what's next early next year, and that will likely include a batch of first-party game announcements. Makes sense to me. Do not show off the PS5 a year and a half early. That's fucking stupid. I would wait until next year's E3. Hell, maybe we do hear something this year. Maybe you do PSX this year because you skipped it last year. Maybe they unveil the PS5 or prototype PS5 then, just to say, hey, PlayStation 5 is coming, and here is what we're working on. Perfect. You know? Nintendo kind of gave us about almost a year of anticipation with the Switch when they codenamed it the NX. And then we didn't know hardly anything for about 8 months before we knew that it was called the Nintendo Switch. And we got the first trailer of it. Then we got the presentation 2 months, a little over 2 months before it released. And I think that'd be perfect, you know? If you want to say something about the PS5 this year, save it until PSX in December. That's what I would do. At the earliest. The best time to say something, maybe you'll hold a special Sony presentation outside of E3 next year, before E3 to kind of get the hype going. Kind of like a Nintendo Direct, only Sony would do it on a much higher quality stage because they do have the PlayStation Theater in New York they could use. I believe they also have one in LA that they can do it from. So, yeah, I would definitely think that late 2020 release, I think, is a perfect time for the system to come out. And since game consoles usually release in November, you know, right before or right around Black Friday, I think that's a perfect time to release it. You know, get the hype, get it out there, get the hype going right before the Christmas shopping season really gets into high gear. I think that's a perfect release point. And lastly, folks, to wrap up episode 26, DOA6 director on helping players improve their game, and a free-to-play version. Now, free-to-play version is interesting because they did a free-to-play core version with DOA5. It was just called Dead or Alive: The Core Fighters. It was a bare-bones DOA5. You were allowed to play... It was like a demo, only it was a full kind of game at the same time. You could play online with it. But it's kind of dumb in a way, too, because if you want to have the full game, you still got to buy everything separately. In DOA, the Core Fighters, you had to buy all the characters separately. You had to buy the story mode separately. And the arcade mode, you had to buy that separately, and so on. But it did give people, you know, a full free-to-play version of the game that you're able to play online and stuff. You only got 2 characters, but 2 characters is enough to try the game out, you know, and play online against other people to see if you actually like the game. I think that's fantastic. And if you're somebody on a very low budget and you can never afford to buy a full video game, but you can afford $5-6 here or there for a new character or a game mode, I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea, but it's certainly not a practical one. Very costly, too. Yohei Shimbori, I apologize again if I butcher your name, director, this is an interview. So, Diego is targeted towards the North American market. They're talking about this new character, Diego and Nico. The director is talking about these characters. Diego is targeted towards North American market and for male players. I did my research based on what kinds of characters those players would like to play. And we came up with a character who might see walking around on the streets in your everyday life. Who could be a friend or someone that feels familiar? That's why I came up with someone who wasn't that extravagant and was a street fighter. For Nico, I needed a scientist for Dead or Alive 6's story, but not Lisa. I wanted to look into a character who was influenced by anime, because not just Japan, but also anime fans are everywhere. I've seen that Dead or Alive fans also tend to be anime fans, so I thought this character would be appealing to them too. You're also playing off of Lucky Chloe from Tekken 7. You know, you just forgot to mention that little tidbit there. Next question, he was asked, how will Dead or Alive 6 train players to be better fighters? He says, while I was working on fighting games, I was researching a lot on how to do that, and having them learn everything is possible. I put a lot of effort for players by adding a training mode, which also shows which frames you can take advantage of for professional players. These are also combo challenges to help players learn combos. For beginners, we would like those players to start with the R1 button. I guess you're talking PlayStation, so R1 would be RB on the Xbox, which we're calling the special button this time, to evoke fatal rushes. These attacks show flashy moves and give decent damage. This will help players learn while they play the game. Again, you took inspiration on from Tekken 7 on this one with their rage arts. Just saying. How have danger zones changed in DOA6? He says they give about the same amount of damage, but since we don't have the power blow system in DOA6, it might make it harder for players to make use of them. Throws or other motions can be used to bring players into those areas where you can inflict heavy damage. So now they're talking about esports. I don't give a shit about esports. Okay, here's the tidbit on free-to-play. Speaking of the free-to-play version, the Xbox Store showed Dead or Alive 6 Core Fighters recently. What can you tell us about that? Shimbori says, first of all, about the listing on the Microsoft Store, that was a mistake from the dev team. We do have plans to make a free-to-play version, but we haven't announced when it will be available. We can promise it will be out post-launch of the full game. We can't talk about it yet since we don't have concrete details, but it will be similar to what we had with DOA5 Core Fighters. And again, the game releases on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC on March 1st. You know, it's really cool, man. Very interesting. This game seems to have taken quite a bit of inspiration from Tekken 7 and what Bandai Namco did over there. This game's going to be fantastic. I love DOA. I've played every game in the series ever since DOA 2. I didn't play the first one, but ever since the original Xbox, I've been playing the games outside of the spin-offs. I didn't play the DOA Extreme series, but I have played every game in the series since 2, and I do own 4 and the Collector's Edition for 5. Sadly, though, no Collector's Edition for this game has been announced, and given the fact that the game's coming out in 3.5 weeks, I don't think that's going to happen at all. Which is kind of good for me because I can't afford it anyway, and you know damn well I would want it. So, folks, that'll do it. That wraps up episode 26 of the Game Corner podcast. Cypher, my co-host, has hit me up. I thought he didn't want to do the show anymore, so, you know, I took the hints he gave me, and I guess it was just a misunderstanding. So I'm going to talk to him. Maybe he'll be back for episode 27. Maybe he'll be back soon. But again, until next time, guys, thanks for watching. My name is The Rose, and I'll catch your ass down the road.